And then you got then there's just more options. I started watching something last night, real life drama about I can't get into it. It's so good. I love true crime. I can watch.
You watch a lot of really dark stuff.
I do.
I can't do that.
That's all I watch.
The world is dark enough. I would just want to sit down and watch like Schitt's Creek or The Office or, something light.
You're like Ann. She likes joyful, uplifting stuff.
Yeah, because my mind is already too dark on a consistent basis. I needed just a little escape.
Oh, seriously. Everything I watch, it has a terrible ending.
You watch the darkest stuff.
It's amazing I come to work in a good mood. I just watch mayhem all the time. Greg Jennings, 10 years in the NFL, a Super Bowl Pro Bowler as well, is joining me live. So it's no secret that Aaron Rodgers has it out for me. I'm a big enough man to handle it. But I will say this. I would give him the MVP. I don't think it's particularly close. And my theory is the media butchers this award. It's most valuable. Okay. Andy Reid is such a brilliant, and it's nothing against Matt LaFleur. I believe Andy could go 6-10 or 7-9 with this roster. I think Green Bay's a 4-win team without Aaron. So to me, Aaron is absolutely, this is the LeBron argument. So I don't care about Westbrook's stats. Valuable, LeBron and Aaron Rodgers. So your thought about Aaron's year and the award itself and if he deserves it?
Yeah, I 100% agree with everything you just said. And that's been my argument all along is the pieces and the personnel that surrounds both of these candidates. When you look at Patrick Mahomes, you have so many skill guys around him. You have 2 of the top 5 leading receivers in all of football, and the tight end Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill on his roster, and we haven't even gone beyond them yet. And you look at the others, they're just so much better than what the Green Bay Packers have surrounded Aaron Rodgers with. And now you bring up the head coaches who are both offensive play callers. I understand Bieniemy and what he does, but let's be real. Andy Reid is the mind behind a lot of that.
Yeah.
And so is Matt LaFleur. And when you pull these 2 coaches away from these guys, it's like, okay, yes, can they still have success with who was ever backing them up? You look at Alex Smith and the success Andy Reid was able to have before Pat Mahomes ever took over. Like, they were already built for this. And so Aaron Rodgers, he even said it, when you take the acronym of MVP, you remove Aaron Rodgers from this Green Bay Packers team, we are not talking about them. They are not making the playoffs. This is no slight on Matt LaFleur, but what they have built is tailor-made for a guy like Aaron Rodgers, and he has grown accustomed to taking and bearing on that weight and allowing them to still have successful seasons.
People pay a lot of attention, and I think this is probably the right thing to do, but we tend to give the Packers or the Saints or the Patriots with Brady or the Steelers a benefit of the doubt if late in the year they play a bad game or things aren't clicking, because we trust the structure, kind of the formidable kind of architecture of the organization. But I don't think Pittsburgh, that offense is not a playoff offense. They can't run. They're awful on third down. They don't throw it deep. It is so it's not efficient and it's not dynamic. So I do think the one playoff team I look at and I think I would panic a little is Pittsburgh. But you played for a team in Green Bay, and go back to your career. Was there a year that you unraveled a little late and you deep down knew it, but there's a sense that you were the Packers and you were okay? Your own career. Because I look at Pittsburgh today, and I think the only reason we're not saying this team's not very good is because of the brand, the Steelers.
Yeah, it was the year we went 15-1, the year following the Super Bowl. We were on a great run up until we ran into the Kansas City Chiefs, a game we should have won, and we lost. And then after that, things just started to unravel. You started to see a little bit more of the flaws that we had that we were overcoming early, and we still overcame. But we knew going into the playoffs, if we weren't able to fix or rid ourselves of them, they would become our Achilles heel. And it was. The New York Giants beat us because we weren't sound offensively on all running the football and throwing the football. And then specifically defensively, we were not able to stop other opponents from making the big plays. But when you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is why I don't panic for them, when you look at them, the way that they are built, they create so many turnovers and get the ball back to that offense that can score points. They just do it differently. And they can put up a scare to a defense, but they do it differently. They don't do it the old traditional Pittsburgh Steelers way. And I think that's what's kind of alarming to so many of us. And we're not seeing Ben Roethlisberger throw for 300-400 yards a game. And the receivers, they have dropped so many balls. But if you don't rid yourself of those ailing things, those drops, those unsustained drives, getting the ball in the end zone when you have goal to go, when you're in the red zone, you are going to falter in the playoffs. However, I like this team because they possess the ball, they play keep away, and then they have a defense that can get after the quarterback and apply pressure, not just sack the quarterback, but get after him with pressure, and they can get the ball back into the hands of their offense to give them more opportunities.
So an interesting team is, and this happens every year, there's these teams that go into the playoffs, the Green Bays. We know who they are. The teams that are there, we're going to see Rams over the next 5 years mostly be a playoff team. And then you get these teams that have a bad history, like a Cleveland Brown, but they right the ship, at least momentarily. And then you get to the playoffs, and you see this in the NBA, and you see it in the NFL. Playoff football is just different. And I imagine over the course of your career, when Green Bay went to the playoffs, you often had a bye, or you'd play a lower-seeded playoff team, and they were a little bit of an upstart. This was new territory for them. And I feel that with Cleveland, like they're going to end up playing like a Baltimore or somebody, and they're just going to be a little over their skis. Go back to your career. Can you see it in the eyes when you would face that upstart team, and that they may have puffed their chest, but deep down late in games, you could sense they'd not been here before, and they weren't terribly comfortable in that space?
Yeah, in the Cleveland Browns, they fit that description. I like so much about the Cleveland Browns, but understanding how this game works, it looks really good in the regular season up until you get into the postseason, because all things that you've done earlier in the regular season, they count for nothing. Teams scheme you differently. The intensity level intensifies. All of these things come into play that a team who has not been there in decades, they have no experience, including their coaching staff. Like, they don't have that experience. I mean, Kevin Stefanski, I understand he was with the Vikings, so he's been around it. He understands it, but he hasn't gotten to where they wanted to be. And when you look at a team like this, it's those reps. It's that experience, Colin, that gives you that confidence to say this Cleveland Browns team can make some hay in the postseason. I like them because their quarterback, Baker Mayfield, is playing better down the stretch. And he's a wild card. If he plays great, this team can make some hay. If he does not, then it's all for naught.
Bears, Vikings, you're calling the game, so I'm not going to ask you for a prediction. Obviously, I'm just let you're the analyst for the game. But I will say this. The Vikings have been a team I've in my Blazing 5 picks, I've just stayed away all year. I can't quite get a beat on them. They lose to the Cowboys, but then you watch them against Tampa, and if they had a kicker, they would have won that game. I mean, Tampa off a bye if they could hit field goals. So you live in Minneapolis, you read everything about them, you drive around, they're talking Vikings on talk radio. Give me a beat on them. What are they and what are they not?
Well, I mean, the record speaks for itself. They are a team that is on the fence. All year long, I've kind of been in the same mindset about the Vikings as you. I haven't been able to put my finger or place my finger on what is it about this team that they haven't been able to be successful this year. understanding that they're young in the secondary, they're young in the back half, and they don't have, Daniil Hunter up front applying the pressure and all of those things. But Mike Zimmer has always showed the resolve to get that defense to be one of the top 10 defenses in all of football. That has not been the case. That is where they have hung their hats and made their hay, and they haven't been as great defensively all year. They have made stints where they've been great. Offensively, they've been on a roller coaster, with the exception of after these last 3 weeks, after their bye, Kirk Cousins has been really, really good. He's played winning football, and that's what has them in the position that they're in. However, when you are one way and teams see that, they approach you differently. They feel like, I can punch you in the mouth, and we'll see how you respond. Will you even respond? And what we saw against Tampa Bay, this was a team that went down and punched Tampa Bay in the mouth. But then special teams, another phase that is forever so important in the waning moments of the regular season, and definitely in the playoffs when you look at the Vikings history, and it cost them. And so you have to be great in all three phases. You have to be solid. And the Vikings, they just haven't been collectively putting that complete game together all year.
Yeah, no, I thought they outplayed Tampa for long, certainly early in the game, and the special teams, Dan Bailey cost them. Greg Jennings, 10 years in the NFL, Super Bowl, Pro Bowl. Good seeing you, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, certain teams, I feel this, I just don't have a beat on. Minnesota. I'll tell you another team is, I think I've once or twice this year I've taken them, is the Colts. I loved them against Green Bay. I thought I had a bad week that week, Blazing 5. That was my only winning game. But the Colts, to me, I'm not quite sure what I get week to week. And the Vikings, I'm not sure. That you go back and look at that Minnesota-Tampa Bay game. You hit your field goals. I think Minnesota wins that game. That's why it was so kind of discouraging if you're a Bucs fan. It was a win, but it felt so hollow. They got so many emotional breaks and special teams breaks. When a team misses a gimme field goal, you can just see it suck the life out of a football team. Joy with the news.